in these key points? Who is in these key demographics? Who?
Who, in terms of their ethnicity, or what do you mean?
Well, I'm asking
the capitalist class.
Yeah, so who's in control of the means of production of information? Let's start with that.
The banks. It's really going to come down to the financial institutions.
Let's talk about the media itself.
Same thing.
Okay.
There is
there any overrepresentation?
Yeah. Look. There's so many different groups with overrepresentation, though. Episcopalians have overrepresentation. As a matter of fact.
Yeah, but if you look at a percentage which is narrow.
Yeah.
The narrower the percentage gets, the more the overrepresentation becomes.
The reason I'm hesitant to focus that it's the Jews, because the majority of Jews
say that.
Yeah, but the majority of the Jews are not in power, and the majority of the people in power are not Jews. Now, if there's a relationship of overrepresentation relative to their population, that's fine. We could talk about that and what the causes of that are. But that overrepresentation doesn't prove they control it. It just proves that they're overrepresented. That's it.
Yeah, but so what would be the proof that you control the thing?
Yeah. At that point, I feel like we have to understand each other on what it means to control a thing. Like, what exactly will we need to show you then for you to say that somebody is in control of a thing? My goodness. And I don't know. Something about his demeanor with this part of the conversation, it seems off to me. Like, yeah, there's a reason why I don't want to talk about that. It's this, when in reality it's something else. We'll just say.
Proof it's in the very nature by which your power over the thing is executed, and it's all superficial.
Right.
There's a a capitalist system in which all of the wealth.
We need to be super clear. We need to be super clear.
Yeah.
I need to know.
Yeah.
How do I know if you're in charge of a thing? How do I know that?
You will know them by their fruits.
Right. You know them by their fruits.
Right.
Ooh. My goodness. Now, the only argument that I could see him having to try to backdoor his way out of this is to say something like, basically something like, well, if they're actually in control, because we're looking at the fruits of who runs this, if they're really in control, then why are there poor Jews here, or why aren't all of them taking, having the best lives, or whatever the case might be? He's going to act like that somehow disputes the fact that a small subsection of them are doing extremely well for themselves. Very blessed.
Right. Okay. So all we need is critical positions. That's it.
Okay.
The critical position, the decision making, this type of thing.
Okay.
That's how you know
and
who's in charge of a thing, right?
The only consistent variable as far as how power has been executed and has been used, right? Let's just talk about the last 50 years, is to enrich the capitalist class. That's the only constant variable. Is it to enrich the Jews? Well, why are there all these poor Jews in New York that are dirt poor, that have literally nothing, that are...
I told you so. I fucking told you so. Like, I didn't see any other way around it, because if we look at their fruits, then that's the fruits of their labor tell the story, their position. So there's no real getting around it unless you're going to obfuscate, or you're going to use faulty logic. You're going to wind up circling back on yourself. That's why they can't debate. very well. A lot of different worldviews end up being this way.
Orthodox Jews. Why are they literally broke? Why are there so many Jews that are broke? It's clearly not for the benefit. By the way, nothing has been a bigger disaster for the Jews, if you ask me, than Israel itself. Okay, the Zionist project has been a total failure and a big disaster. In whose interest was the Zionist project?
But hang on, let's move back a little bit.
Yeah.
What the fuck would there's some poor Jews in New York have to do with anything that we're talking about when
because
it comes
the
to
only
the key?
I'm glad he caught it too. He was like, "What is that? What does some particular Jews being poor have to do with anything of what we're talking about? Nothing. Doesn't have a thing to do with it."
Consistent variable, know them by
have to do with anything that we're talking about when
because
it comes
the
to
only
the key,
consistent variable, know them by their fruits, enriching the ruling financial class. That's the only consistent variable.
Okay, so you can have poor people who are in New York.
Yeah, enriching themselves, the ruling class. Right? Is that not what he was trying to say, or did he think that was a clever way of not saying that? Because I feel like he still basically said that. He said it as if there was a distinction between the two. Interesting.
York, who are whatever ethnicity.
Yeah.
I still don't understand what that would have to do if you have an overrepresentation of certain groups in keyed-in positions.
Well, what are they doing in those positions? On behalf of whose interests? What are they using their power to do to fulfill?
To enrich themselves.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's the capitalist class. It doesn't matter if they're Jewish. It doesn't matter if
I
they're...
don't believe that if you were a communist that you couldn't do the exact same thing. That you couldn't enrich yourself.
Show the examples, though.
Of communists enriching themselves?
Yes.
Did Stalin die poor?
Absolutely. He died with nothing.
Poor?
He died with a pipe. He died with...
I wonder if that's true. I mean, there's no telling what Google might say, but let's just Google real quick and just see what the top thing says. Poor hell. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry. His name is Lux, so you'll hear Luxington, you'll hear McKitty Deluxe. I don't know. I had to come up with some other ones. Those are getting kind of stale to me now. He's a smart kitty, but he can be a handful. He can be a bit of an ice. A bit of an ice hole. But typically he is sweet. I don't know. I didn't see anything.
His shirt and his suit, and I think he had one small cabin in the woods somewhere, and that's all he had. Look it up.
Okay.
He had nothing. He had no bank accounts. He had no wealth.
Well,
he literally had nothing.
He could just get whatever the hell he wanted when he wanted it.
What evidence is there that Stalin was living a luxurious life? Even Khrushchev in his memoirs, Khrushchev would complain and say, Stalin, he's so hard on us. This is in the 1930s. He makes us eat porridge every night. We're never able to eat nice food. He makes us live austere, ascetic lives. This is the nature and character of Stalin.
So what? So he makes you eat porridge? This somehow means that he doesn't have complete and total unilateral control of the state. He clearly did.
Where is the proof that he is using power to aggrandize himself and luxuriously?
You mean the proof that Stalin is what? He's utilizing the state's resources to enrich himself?
Luxuriously. Living lavishly. I said we're living lavishly out here with Lux. Alright. Sit back here.
Yeah, where's the proof?
Yeah, he's in charge of the state. Could he have whatever he wants when he wants it?
Stalin is someone who fully put himself in the service of his country and his people. Fully. Not even 1% was dedicated to himself. Where is the evidence of that 1%?
Golly. Kid said 100%. Kid said 100% devoted to his community, to his country. 100%. Not even 1% did he care about his own family, his own bloodline, his own community. No, why would he? Just 100% for the state. That is what he said, right? Am I being hyperbolic? Let me run it back real quick.
I'm trying to be clear.
Was that someone who fully put himself in the service of his country and his people. Fully. Not even 1% was dedicated to himself.
Not even 1%. Okay. That's strange. Honestly. Like anyone who's good in argumentation, I just think they would shy away from saying something like that. And he seems to be talented at argumentation. That's strange. I wonder if Andrew's going to catch him on this too or decide to.
Where is the evidence of that 1%?
I'm trying to be clear here.
Yeah.
What is it that you're asking me? Was Stalin not the head of the state of Russia?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yes.
Could Stalin get whatever the hell he wanted whenever he wanted it?
Could he? I mean, could he abuse his powers? You're saying maybe, but had he abused his power, there would have been consequences.
When you're in a position of total unilateral control, whatever your preferences are,
he didn't. Even the CIA released a memo in the 1950s that said it's a big myth that Stalin has total control. He doesn't. He's accountable to his party. He's actually accountable to his party.
Yeah, trusting the CIA isn't exactly a pro tip. I don't think. They don't have exactly the most. Sorry, Andrew. They don't have exactly the most. That's one that would be considered an ill repute, would it not?
Unless he wanted to kill him.
He could only kill people in the party if he had a consensus of the party. That's the thing. It's not just that Stalin didn't like this guy; he had him killed. It's a big nonsense myth.
So Stalin, who is the unilateral leader, you're saying, okay, so would you say that Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong-il, same thing?
The problem is we have an information blackout because all we get from North Korea are bullshit stories like Yeonmi Park and all. We have an information blackout. The reason we know as much as we know about Stalin's Soviet Union right now is because when the Soviet Union collapsed, the archives opened up. So we can actually look and see about how it was working and what was going on. We have CIA stuff that was leaked, all this kind of stuff. North Korea, there's not a lot of information, and the only information we do seem to be getting is bullshit, you know?
Yeah, but so let's move back again. When you're talking about North Korea, you say, okay, there's an information blackout. What I'm asking you specifically, though, you say Stalin has never used his position of power to enrich himself. Where's the evidence of that?
Yeah.
So when he's in service to the people, what is he doing as part of this service? What is it?
Leading them. He does what a leader does.
Doing what?
What do you think a leader does on their day-to-day tasks?
What is Stalin doing here as the position of leader?
He is attending to the bit and overseeing the business of the state, making sure that the 5-year plans are being executed correctly, attending and being he's literally reading the letters of ordinary people that are being sent on a regular basis to him. He's actually reading these things and replying. He's overseeing the people that are under him, making sure that they're doing their job. He's consulting with all the different departments of the state in order to make sure that everything this is what leaders do.
How many people died under his reign due to the massive famine, which was caused
the one in 32-33, where there was a combination of one of the biggest droughts in their history, and there is proof that the Kulak class was destroying and burning grain as a form of political resistance.
There's also massive proof that they were trying to reallocate and redistribute these supplies, and they were literally putting them in grain houses and in storage units and things like this. They were rotting away because they were trying to distribute equally these types of supplies.
The famine was a disaster, but let's actually place things into context.
Sure. Real quick, guys. Yeah, we've been going 35 minutes on this topic, and I didn't want to stop anything because you guys were going.
Okay. Very good there.
Going. But you know what we'll do? We'll take a quick break, and then I'll read some chats, and then we'll go back into this, and we'll talk about the famine and Stalin. Shoot your other questions and keep going.
I do want to get into, and I've been kind of fleshing this out, pulling out the dialogue so I understand exactly what your position is. I'd finally like to get into the moral position of communism.
But not the famine, because I kind of want to...
Yeah, we can get to that.
Yeah.
But can we start with the moral position of communism? And then we can dive into the famine portion.
Yeah. That's where we left off was the famine, but wherever you guys want to start.
Yeah, I'm cool with the moral stuff.
I want to make sure that we don't bypass it because it's an elongated conversation.
Sure. I'm going to start the timer anyway, just so I know it, but you guys go ahead. Take it away.
Yeah, so my biggest issue here is the reconciliation. So I'll concede a few points. There's no doubt that Haas knows far more about communism and communist history than me. He should, right? He's not an orthodox apologist, for instance, nor so I expect that he knows inside of his domain more than I do about X thing. But it still has to, from his view, logically add up to two things. One, the practical application, which I can concede even there could be some practicality to communism. But I need to know the moral implication. And this is what we're diving into, is the moral implication. And I need to know what you're basing this on other than your own intuition. And if there is something external to your own intuition, and why we should follow it. I would say, and I'm gonna posit this, that people themselves need to have something which is higher than them to move towards. I think that you would say that.
I agree. It's interesting that that's almost a prerequisite for AA's 12 steps to work for you. Is they don't put it as like that you have to believe in God, but you have to believe in something very akin to the faith that those who believe in God have. That things will work out in your best interest. If you keep doing your best, it will. Things don't things very rarely go according to plan, meaning even if you reach your goal, it's going to be by means that you couldn't have predicted beforehand. Like, it's going to happen for you in an unexpected way, especially if it's something that seems almost out of the realm of possibility at a certain point in time. But I'm just saying, like, if you keep those positive thoughts dominant in your mind, you'll see opportunities to capitalize, to take steps towards that. But sometimes it's almost like the universe will meet you not 50% of the way, it'll meet you like 90% of the way. Like, you just gotta get going, and then you're rolling downhill.
The same thing with the state, right? But
history.
When it comes to decadence, right? How's communism preventing this except with the barrel of a gun versus argumentation and the ethics around argumentation that you find from religion and theology? And I'd like to dive into the moral discussion of that.
I think, it's a good question. I think that, I reject the separation of morality from the other spheres of this, the division of labor, so to speak. I think that a human existence, inclusive of its economic reality, inclusive of its social and political reality, and its historical reality, is infused with the moral. The moral has significance for every historical era, for every historical situation we find ourselves in. So, for example, we don't have to get into the conflict itself, but just an example, you can agree. I think, for example, the question of morality for a Palestinian, it's not a question of propositional logic. It's not a question of reasoning. It is based in a concrete historical circumstance in which their people are being occupied by a foreign aggressor. And it is, yes, maybe it's a matter of intuition.
Concrete. Yes, maybe it's a matter of intuition. I don't know what's happening right now. That's an interesting two sentences to put back to back.
But it's the clear moral path, which is to resist, right? So history is riddled with situations like this. I would argue that every instance of the emergence of prophets, biblical prophets historically, they're giving people a message, but the message is not being justified to them on the basis of propositional logic. It's not being justified on the basis
I'm
of
not asking for
a rational authority.
I'm not asking for
it makes sense in the time that it's in, and people heed the call because they receive it as something that's making sense of the injustice of the era they're living in.
There's many things here which would make sense even in this situation, which could be superior to picking a side. For instance, why do I care if Jews and Palestinians kill each other? Fuck them, right? What do I care?
Yeah, but if you were a Palestinian, you would regard it as the moral thing to resist.
Or if I was a Jew, I would regard it as the moral thing to exterminate the Palestinian, right?
But what kind of morals would you have? I think as Stalin...
But this is why I'm asking for kind of the epistemology here. And I'm not asking for anything too precise, right? Kind of the general idea. I don't actually understand what the moral proposition of communism is, and Hegel certainly is not offering one.
Okay.
Plot twist, there is no moral supposition, proposition, or otherwise involved in communism. I mean, maybe in certain cultures, the government would be expected to act in a respectable or honorable way, but I can't imagine that's a whole lot different than any other type of governance.
So what is it? What is the morality
I think
of communism?
look, I don't want to. I'm not dodging the question. This is a direct response.
Yeah.
Putin said that the moral code for communist builders was a document the Communist Party of the Soviet Union released precisely to answer this question. He says it's the same thing as the Bible. It's the same thing.
It's
this
not
is what
the
Putin
same
said.
thing.
Well, in my view, the morality of the communists is not a morality separated from the one that is actually ingratiated and is based in the historical existence of the people through the Bible, through the Quran, through the Confucianism in China, for example.
The communism were killing the Christians. They weren't elevating them.
Communism, we can get into that, but communism doesn't propose
Gotta use his mouse. I don't know if I can see him. Oh, I done clicked on something now. Okay, I see him. Okay, he might be able to be seen. Who knows? I think he likes to be on camera, to be honest with you. You like being on camera, bro? Getting on the mic. He's like, give me that mic. Nah, man, you can't see that. Alright now. Son of a bitch. Fuck you up. You understand me? Alright. To be honest, I feel like I'm running on fumes and it ain't even, what time is it? Shit, yeah, it ain't even 1. That shit, I feel like if I fall asleep, I fall asleep. Ain't like I ain't done it before. Don't remember what the exact point was I wanted to make before I started getting bit and all of this unnecessariness. I just wanted to use the mouse. He don't let me use it. Okay. Oh shit, he's got his claws in me. Okay. No. What did I do? I didn't do nothing. Okay, yeah.
creating a morality from scratch. We regard the real moral sensibilities of the people as they actually exist, as they've been inherited and passed down by generations.
What are those moral, what is the moral thing we should be moving towards?
We are no longer. That question is a descriptive question. It's not a propositional one. It's not what should it be. It's what is it. It's a question of analysis. So, for example, we can say the morality. It's also a question of the analysis.
Hang on. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut in. I want to clarify though. Yeah, there's a descriptor, that's true, but we're looking at an is and an ought here all the same. So you say, okay, we can adopt to the description of whatever the morality is. clearly you're not going to adopt the prescription of the morality of like putting someone on a pyramid, cutting out their heart, holding it up to the sun god. You would say, no, we're not doing that.
But human beings did do that for a long period of history.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean communism would endorse that.
No, absolutely
so
not.
It's moving towards some
because communism is not something that is separating itself from the development of history. It's the culmination of history. We're not here to reject the Bible and reject the religious traditions of the people.
Then what is your grounding to say you can't take them on top of pyramids and cut their hearts out?
Basically, you have no objective standards that you can actually give reasoning for within your worldview and within your system of governance. And if that's the case, then I guess you really can't say whether anyone else is right or wrong, and you really don't have much legs to stand on at that point, I feel like. This cat is something else. What's going on with the game? Let's just sit there for a minute. Yeah, I died a few times on this one. You know what? I kind of want to stop and just assess my gameplay a little bit. Can we?
Okay. As they're saying in chat, it's about context. It's always about context. You can't just say stuff can happen off screen, guys. Go away. Next point. It's like, oh.
Okay, well that's EFAB talking. I don't really remember what I'm doing here. This is so long ago. In the land before time. Damn, I gotta sneeze. I wonder what those sound like. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still up here. Looking at my gameplay a little bit. Know what I'm saying? Guess we can move. Wait a minute. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Put that like right there. I guess we get you. Alright. You're too much.
Because otherwise it doesn't make any goddamn sense. Well, I was going to say, it ruins the stakes because now he can teleport and generate resources as far as we can assume. So it's unnecessary breach of what would you call it? Like an investment from many viewers. When all you need to do is a throwaway line at worst. Because he followed up with saying, wouldn't it be a bit tedious to have an explanation like that in the climax? Well, you don't have to make it long. You could literally have a scene where Bruce walks into some kind of bazaar or wherever is near the place he was in, because it looked very distant from civilization. And then you find a way he gets a phone, and then he calls Alfred, or then he calls someone he knows, gets a pickup, and that's it. And the person on the phone could be like, "What do you need?" And then he's like, "We're gonna need and he says a bunch of numbers, so it implies that this is a thing he had set up. You just be like, "Oh, okay." 1 minute at most. Instead, we watch him poof into Gotham, and we're like, what? And that's the thing, Gotham's on lockdown as well. Do you remember? Like, nobody in or out, aside from resources across the bridge. So it's just like, oh. Okay.
I know, he was able to get into Gotham, look perfectly fine, and he was able to make that big, stupid bird.
Alright, let's get back to
it. Why does there need to be a grounding for that? Why does there need to be a...
Whoops. Sorry. Forgot how loud this
And by grounding, by the way, you're talking about propositional logic. You're talking about something that is basically the self-consistency of a concept.
Well, we do need to know
which I regard that,
well,
but
yeah,
I regard
we
that
do
as
need
an
to know
impossible.
why we're moving towards something.
The foundation of morality does not lie in logic. The foundation of morality lies in existence. It lies in the real existence of people struggling to make sense of that existence in relation not only to themselves, but toward others and toward the natural world.
Oz, let's back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, I will agree that there's something far more expressive about what morality is than propositional logic or logic of any kind can really ever express. The external that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But you should still be able to give me a general idea of what it is communism, the moral descriptions of communism are moving towards. So in Christianity, for instance, let me give you the example. Inside of your worldview, isn't it true that you believe that it's material conditions, right, which set what men will do, not some sort of ontology which is the man, which sets what they will do?
Materialism is not about a single directional cause and effect. What man is doing is a material reality. It's not that the material reality is the cause of his actions. The context by which his actions are suspended in a way that reproduces his real existence is a material existence.
So how do you win? So if this was a video game called Communism, the game, what's the win condition?
What do you mean?
Inside, so if you have a video game, let's say you have World of Warcraft, it's going to have its own economy, it's going to have its own player base, it's going to have its own everything, right? It's not reality, but it's like a demi-reflection of reality, right? So inside of the game, there's going to be a victory condition, right? The victory condition is, kill this bad guy, right? You've beat the game.
Okay.
So what is communism's answer to beating the game? So the Christian answer is theosis. That's how you win. You beat the game, you become more like Christ, you enter into theosis. This is our objective.
What does that actually...
Hang on. This is what we're moving towards. This is what we want. Theosis. That's the victory condition. What's the victory condition inside of communism? What is it? What is the thing that we're moving towards so we know we beat the game?
Broadly, I would say the overall development of the productive forces and the prosperity and
the utopia. That's how we'll know that we had real communism, is if we have a utopia where everything works ideally all the time, no matter what. No corruption there.
Well-being of mankind.
And how do we know that that is the moral thing to move towards?
Probably in terms of population growth and the growth of wealth.
So the growth of wealth.
The growth of wealth and the growth of human beings.
For the nation or for the individual?
For the people, not just for the individual. Of course, not just for the individual.
And how is it that you, Haas, just...
Of course not just for the individual. Well, yeah, he's pro-communist, so it's really everything for the state. Soul, spirit, body, for all time.
Describe what is a wealthy person. What is wealth to an individual? Is it money? Is that what you're talking about? Material conditions?
I think it can be recorded objectively. I mean, you by wealth, I'm not just talking about luxury. I'm talking about the necessities of people to exist. So the growth of a population, for example, can clearly be an indication that there's an expansion of wealth.
It can be, but the poorest people also populate the most now.
Yeah. More often than not, it's not, upper middle class. Having tons of babies, starting early in life, and having a bunch of babies, and staying married to one partner. No, but poor people will have 7 baby mamas and one of them will have 7 baby daddies, and insane.
And they could not survive relative to, you know,
they survive better and often than the rich who abort their kids and the middle class who abort their kids.
But if it was not for at least a relative degree of the expansion of the overall productive forces and material wealth, they would not be able to survive.
The poor seem to survive better than the rich do.
Then why weren't
the rich don't reproduce?
Then why weren't there 8 billion people in 1800?
Well, so you have, and by the way, we're about to go way less than 8 billion people now.
Sure.
And there's never been more
but
wealth.
But in 1800, we couldn't.
Hang on. There's never been more wealth produced.
I agree.
On planet Earth.
But
so hang on.
In 1800, we couldn't support that.
He sees it coming now. So he's trying to talk over him real quick. Switch the subject. No, hold on. Let me just finish dunking this real quick, and then you can have the ball, and we can go forward.
Hang on. Let me ask the question. Yeah. You have just contradicted yourself. How could it possibly be that we have now produced more wealth on planet Earth than ever before, but we're moving into a birth rate crisis like we've never seen before? There's no possible way that we're going to be able to reproduce at 8 billion long term.
That's fine.
No projection.
But in 1800, 8 billion people could not exist on Earth, because the material wealth and the productive forces and technology wasn't advanced to a sufficient degree to support them.
There's also an issue of it takes X amount of generations to reproduce X amount of people. We don't know exactly when the starting point was.
How long do you think human beings have been around?
I don't know. Neither do you.
No matter who you are, there are times it can be tough to be yourself when you have some.
Get your Planet Fitness Black Card today for whatever you're getting fit for. Deal ends September 6th.
Yeah. No idea what this is about to entail, quite honestly. But we're gonna rock with it. Haven't seen these before. They're provided for me, curated for me, special for me, from my absolute oldest YouTube account, the one that immediately got banned. But I do like to use its algorithm because it seems to know me so well. So we're going to use that to populate a lot of these stream videos, to be honest, because sometimes I'm like, have you seen this? And everybody's like, yeah. And then sometimes I'm like, have you seen this? And they're like, what the fuck? So this is one of those things. I'm just going to let it play a little bit, pause it, talk about what I see, but no idea where we're going. If y'all can read that, can you? Russian Tartary History Exam, 1835. So, an exam on Tartary, or on Russian Tartary, I guess. We'll see.
This examination can be found in an 1835 book created for schools and academies in the United States. The link will be in the description so you can come and view this for yourself.
See, and if you read any fucking paper, like even like from uneducated people, you'll see how people in the 1800s had a different grasp, a much better grasp on like how to speak and how to express themselves and the language that they used and how well they could use it. And then you have like the Gettysburg Address, like try to read that and then read that with the understanding that when Lincoln gave that address, he thought the majority of general Americans would understand what he was saying. And understand that 90% of the kids and adults today probably wouldn't. So this was at a time when education was still something that America was known for, and in a positive way, like leading the way.
There is a longer version of this video which covers all the Tartaria related topics found in this book, but I decided to cut it into smaller sections so it's easier to focus on. Of course, before this area was known as Muscovite Tartary, Tartary belonging to the Muscovites. But by this point, it's become Asiatic Russia, and we've seen effectively all the mentions of the Tartars or Tartary in the other sections leading up to this point. This document doesn't go too deep on the history, but between 1533 and 1690 is essentially the time frame for this conquering of the East. So by the time this was released in 1835, Russia has solidified its control. Questions 1 through 5 are all essentially describing Asiatic Russia. How is it bounded? What's its length, breadth, population, chief mountains, rivers, and through what kind of country do the Russian rivers flow? It mentions Asiatic Russia, or Siberia, is a vast tract of country extending from European Russia to the Pacific Ocean, a distance of about 4,000 miles, and from the Arctic Ocean to the borders of China, Tartary, Persia, and Asiatic.
I'm just pausing, just for posterity. Taking a look-see.
Turkey, an extent of about 2,000 miles. The population of this immense country is very small in proportion to its extent, not exceeding 7 million. They consist of various tribes differing from each other in appearance, manners, religion, and language. The principal mountains of Asiatic Russia are the Uralian in the west, Caucasus, Altai, and Nachinsk. But the face of the country, for the most part, like European Russia, tends to be level. The chief rivers are the Obi, the Yenisei, the Lena, and the Irtish. Its chief lake is Baikal. And number 5 just discusses where these rivers move through, so we don't really need to talk about that. Number 6 says describe the inhabitants as they were formerly and are at present. Describe the Georgians and the Caucasians. And 7 is when did Siberia first belong to or make a part of the Russian Empire? The inhabitants were formerly almost wholly wanderers, but the greater portion now reside in towns, villages, and settled habitations. In the western part, the Georgians and Caucasians are a half-civilized people, resembling the Persians in their manner of living. No part of this extensive country belonged to Russia till about the middle of the 15th century, nor was it completely subdued and attached to Russia till it was conquered by Peter the Great and Catherine II in the early part of the 18th century. Question 8 says, what did the
18th century... It's the 1700s, correct? Yeah. And I think there was a cataclysm shortly after, like in the 1830s or something like that. But something definitely changed. A lot of things changed from how they're represented in past works.
ancient Greeks and Romans consider this country to be before the time of Ptolemy? What opinion had the Greeks formed of it at the time when Ptolemy flourished in 140? What was the utmost extent of land they knew towards the east? The ancient Greeks and Romans extended their imaginary Scythian Ocean over the space occupied by Siberia. Ptolemy, who flourished in 140 and was better informed, says that a vast unknown region lay to the northeast of the Caspian Sea, but the utmost extent of ancient geography scarcely reached the Uralian Mountains. Question 9. Under what other general name is this country frequently comprised? The whole of Asiatic Russia, extending from Turkey, Persia, Hindustan, and China to the Arctic Ocean, is frequently comprised under the general name of Tartary. Question 10. When did the Tartars found a settlement on the banks of the Irtish and the Obi? In the Middle Ages, travelers, and among others Marco Polo, heard the Tartars speak vaguely of a country which was rich in furs but covered with perpetual darkness. In 1228, the Tartars founded settlements on the banks of the Irtish and Obi. Number 11. What do the Russians consider the natural boundary between Siberia and Russia and Europe? And number 12, how is it bounded? In looking over a description of the Russian Empire, inserted in the memoirs of the Petersburg Academy, we find that this learned body considered the Uralian Mountains both as naturally dividing the Russian dominion into two parts, and as fixing invariably the true boundaries of Siberia. Number 12 just talks about the boundaries of Siberia itself, which, again, we don't really need to go into. Questions 13 and 14 are just describing the surface of Siberia, as in land and what the geography's like, and 15 to 18 are covering the chief animals, where it says the Siberian wilds and forests are filled with a great variety of animals. The reindeer wanders over the whole northern waste from west to east and is of great value. The mountains of Caucasus on the west afford the urus, or bison, and the ibex. Large stags are found in the tracks around Lake Baikal on the east, and wild horses roam in herds over the steppes adjacent to Tartary. The bear, the wolf, and the fox are common in Siberia, as also are hares, squirrels, and beavers. The best sables are found in the neighborhood of Yakutsk and in Kamchatka. Number 19, for what is Siberia chiefly valuable, and for what does it serve? So remember, every time it says Siberia, really it is essentially just saying Tartary, because these were the most northern regions of Tartary. Siberia is chiefly valuable to Russia for its mines and furs. It also serves as a place of banishment for delinquents. Prisoners of state have also been sent there who have greatly contributed to civilize and improve the country. Agriculture has made but little progress. So Siberia, even 200 years ago, was still being used then for a place to banish delinquents and people that you didn't want to have to deal with. Question 20. Whence is the name of Siberia? When and where was Sibri founded? The general name of Siberia is derived from an ancient town named Sibri, which is said to have stood on the banks of the Irtysh near the city of Tobolsk, and to have been the residence of the former sovereigns of this part of Asia. Sibri was founded by the Tatars, so yes, of course, Sibri, sometimes known as Kashlik or Cyber on many of the older maps, that was the location of the original Tatar kings who ruled this area. That was destroyed in 1584 by the Muscovites. Question 21. How is Siberia divided? Siberia is divided into two great governments, that of Tobolsk in the west and Irkutsk in the east. Its chief towns are Tobolsk and Irkutsk. The next few questions are just describing Tobolsk, Astrakhan, Irkutsk, Kamchatka, and the mountains of Kamchatka, which, again, we don't really need to talk about. Question 30 asks us what are the chief nations of Asiatic Russia, and then asks us to describe them. The principal nations or tribes of Asiatic Russia are the Tatars, Ostyaks, Koryaks, and Samoyeds. The Tatars people the southern parts of Asiatic Russia, from the Crimea to the Irtysh. These are considered the most civilized and industrious of all the natives. They are in general of a tawny complexion, stout and well-made, robust and vigorous. The Mongol and Manchu Tatars are of a copper color, and in general short and ugly. These extend from the Irtysh to Kamchatka under the various names of Kalmucks, Buryats, Mongols or Moguls, Manchus and Tungusians or Tungusi. The Polar race are of a small stature, deformed and tawny, with black and coarse hair.
So it seems like within Tartary there was multiple nations speaking multiple nationalities, or not nationalities, but ethnicities speaking different languages. It sounds an awful lot like America, different complexions. It wasn't a homogenous nation. And I did hear somewhere that they were running through people because they would be like, look, if you come with us and you're willing to fight for Tartary and you'll pay your taxes, then you can be free. You don't have to be a farmer. You don't have to be anything other than what you want to be. Yeah, like at least that's what I heard.
With little eyes. These extend along the Arctic Ocean and reckon about 500,000 inhabitants under the names of Ostyaks, Koryaks, and Samoyeds, who are generally from 4 to 5 feet in height. From their habits of life, they are filthy and squalid in the extreme and are sunk in gross superstition and idolatry. The Kamchadlis are not less filthy and brutalized than the northern tribes just mentioned. The Laplanders in the north of Europe and the Eskimo in the northern parts of America are of the same race and very similar in their appearance, habits, and manners. What has been said, therefore, of Lapland may be referred to all the northern part of Asia. The Ostyaks inhabit the country chiefly about the River Oby, somewhat to the northward and southward of the latitude of 60 degrees. They are not much superior to the Samoyeds, although living to the south of them. The Ostiaks have no alphabet, nor can they count higher than 10. They are, says a Russian traveler, small and feeble. Their dress is made of skins and furs, and like the Samoyeds, they live by hunting and fishing. The country of the Samoyeds lies along the seacoasts in the northwest of Siberia. It is very barren, and the inhabitants live in a style which much resembles that of brutes, subsisting chiefly by their reindeer or by hunting. The Kamchadales, like the Samoyeds and Ostiaks, have also their winter and summer cabins, which are generally about 12 feet high, and subsist chiefly on fish. They travel on a small carriage like the Laplanders and Samoyeds, but instead of the reindeer, they're drawn by dogs, which greatly resemble our shepherd's dog. In the north of Kamchatka, the cabins are subterranean. The cabins in Kamchatka are actually built underground. They're subterranean. So that's something I'd never heard of before, so very curious in 1835.
Yeah, what exactly would that be? Subterranean.
Underground cabins in Kamchatka, and of course, the dogs pulling the sleds, much like we see in Alaska. Very interesting, underground cabins, and we've learned about the people who are in Siberia, the different types of Tatars and other people, because it wasn't just the Tatars, but of course they were called Tatars. They were all distinguished as Tatars, the Tartarians, the people that come from Tartary, but they were individual groups, like say, some of them better at battle. The Mongols, definitely much better than the 4 to 5 feet tall ones in the northern coasts. So that's the end of Asiatic Russia, or Muscovite Tartary, Siberia, whatever you want to call it, and we're now going to move on to Tartary in general. So that's the end of that section from this 1835 history book, distributed to American schools and academies in the mid-1800s. This is before the Civil War, so pre-Civil War history information about Tartary and its inhabitants.
I don't know if he's going to plug himself, but Ancient Historia, I think. Yeah, I'm surprised that it actually put that on my feed since I was already subscribed to him. It's weird.
Make sure you check out the other sections if you're interested, or watch the whole video if you want to see them all in one place.
Yeah, I ain't having that. Again, I don't know exactly what this is going to be. I mean, I've got coarse language on, so it should be all right.
And something that's so repugnant to women, but the fact is, I choose to say it or choose not to. That's the amount of respect that you earn from me. It's not the amount of respect that you automatically are entitled to. You're not entitled to the door being open. You're not entitled to me laying my good coat on a puddle. You're not entitled to me wrestling an alligator to save your life. It's desire. That's all. That's what the word bitch is, just to let you know, hey, bitch. And you go, don't be calling me no bitch. And you go, okay, bitch. Now what? What's option 2? That's all I want to say. I want to give you options to make me not want to call you a bitch. You understand what I'm saying? Do you love your mother? I love my mother to death. You understand? But that has nothing to do with you. You know what I mean? Like I said one time, that's my mother. Like, my mother used to be somebody's bitch. He was my mother had boyfriends. And they had to deal with my mother's bullshit. My mother knows what she used to do to guys sometimes. She would tell me. She would fuck with their manhood. She made my...
Patrice was too real. Too real, it seems.
My sister's father threw a fan at her. She told me that story. Wow. Made him so, tested his manhood so much, threw a fucking fan at her. Because she boiled him down to what he had over her, which is manness, physicality. And that's what I'm trying to help dudes, to not have to ever conquer your woman with physicality, man. You have to try to conquer them with logic and make them look at you like, you know what, I'm going to follow this guy because he knows where he's going. You know what I'm saying? But when a woman don't respect you, they test your manhood constantly, dude. It wears you out. But I'm going to tell you what, soldier, if it's just like fighting a terrorist, man, you going to stop? You going to stop? You going to take a break? They don't take a break. You understand? They out there trying to figure out how to kill us with orange juice and fucking Gatorade and lotion, and they don't take a break. And that's what women are. They are fucking insurgents making improvised explosive devices, and the day you go, I don't feel like checking for mine. I'm tired. Blah! Fingerless motherfucker.
He's not lying. That's how it can be. Because, like, the amount of stories, it's wild. The amount of stories that you'll come across of dudes showing vulnerability for something legitimate, and we're talking about married with kids. You've been married together for like a decade, maybe 15 years or something. And the amount of stories of guys admitting that they showed some vulnerability, and that is the only discernible change. Their mother died, their father died, their child died. Somebody mugs him in the street, or somebody sucker punches him in a club, or any number of little times where a man is vulnerable or expresses vulnerability to a woman. And again, they might have been married for 15 years, but the divorce papers are on the way. Like, whether she knows it or you know it yet, it's on the way. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, she lost respect for you, so she's gonna, unless you can make her respect you again, which a lot of times that's why it ends up coming back to some kind of physicality. And it's like, no, can't go that route.
You understand?
Yes.
You fingerless nigga, you're sitting there
Never
like
stops.
you can't be tired. You're dealing with the worst terrorists there are, women. They're brutal, and here's what makes them the brutalist is that they don't do it maliciously. You understand? It's organic. It's an organic fucking
response.
It's like
instinct.
It's
Yeah, basically an instinct to make sure that they've hitched their wagon to someone that's gonna be their best bet for protection of themselves, security of themselves, and their children. So I don't think it is malicious a lot of times, like that. Those, that Energizer Bunny, like they just keep going and going and going, testing like all your boundaries, and you always have to be on guard to protect them, to keep the boundaries of the relationship so that the relationship can remain healthy. There's different ways of looking at that, but it's always interesting, Patrice.
instinct. Thank you. It's like if you have a pet rattlesnake.
That's what
you gotta always know that it's gonna bite you. You be like, damn, don't this motherfucker know I feed it every day? I got fish that don't give a fuck about me except for I feed them. That's when they come to the glass. And then when I go to the glass and tap the glass, or I do something like I'm trying to have some bonding with them, they swim away like I'm any other nigga. And they'll take food from anybody. That's what. Look,
no
man,
loyalty.
That's what I'm saying, man. Women do things instinctively. I'm not saying that they're disloyal, but they do things with this instinctive level, and they bash you down. And it's not because they want to. And that's the thing. It's like going back to the terrorist thing. Mm-hmm. It's like you are fighting somebody with an ideal, an ideology, a fucking a philosophy about killing you. And all you doing is going to work. I'm the TSA guy at the airport. All I want to do is go to work and check for the belt buckle and the chain and the watch and take your cell phone out the pocket. That's all I want to do. And I'm trying to fight that ethic versus it's not even an ethic. It's just a belief system. I am fighting somebody with a belief system. This is what I'm saying, fellas. You gotta get a belief system into your happiness.
Stick with it.
And make it unconscious. Make it an unconscious, natural thing. That's when women will start to get the point where if they start doing their shit, you don't think, man, let me tell you something, man. I'm getting going again. Because I've been with my girl and not getting no other pussy and being decent and this, that, and the third. And it takes away your fangs. I start pulling my fang out. I'm going to take it out. I don't need to. Like, I start saying, damn, I'm not even mad no more. I'm like, honey, get me. He was over my crib. Me, my man, him, David. And Gavin. 2 big niggas and my girl and me. And we chilling in my house made for niggas. And my girl's like, yeah, you guys need water. And I'm like, yeah, she's bringing down everybody some water, and we eating steaks, and she's upstairs not bugging me. And I'm sitting there going,
like, when you going to get rid of this bitch? So we get some hoes in?
Boy, you got yourself a good woman. When this bitch going to get out of here so we can have an orgy, nigga? I want to fuck on top of this television. And I'm sitting there like, hey, fellas, ain't she a great girl? Give a fuck about that. But it does fuck with you, man, when the girl relentlessly will not let you, she just will love you till you go, that's the sound. Once you say I'm gonna be in love, I love my girl, but dude, I got to stay on her, man. I got to watch her every second of the day, cause she will do
every second of the day, because they will do some goofy ass shit. Unfortunately.
something unconscious until I'm an unattractive motherfucker, man. Her attractiveness to me is that I'm a pimp.
Strength. It's your strength that makes you attractive.
As soon as you change, it's it.
I out-logic her, man. She can't out-logic. There's been times she goes, forget it. I just give up. Because all you're going to do, this is her. All I'm going to do when we argue is turn it around so that she feels wrong. That's how she think now. All you're gonna do is make me feel like I'm wrong, which is just as dumb as I've ever heard.
That's second-degree black belt, though.
But she just gave up, but in a tricky way. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you what she did one day when I was feeling soft. She goes like this. She says some shit. I forgot what she said. She said, yeah, something. It was something that I should have checked her on and I didn't. And then I said, wait a minute, let me check her. Right? What you say, bitch? Did you just say? And then she goes, I thought you was going to let me get away with that shit. She karate kicked me, and I didn't know, and she thought that shit hit me and knocked me out, and she was now looking forward to the next level of taking my shit so that she can feel comfortable, dude. She hates me, but she loves me, but she loves hating me, dude. Does that make sense?
Yes,
she
it
loves
does.
the passion that her hatred for me has. It gives her passion. Let me tell you something. I tell my girl, if you ever in your life yell at another guy, you might as well go with him. If some guy you don't know evokes passion in you, that you yelling and screaming and you hate some motherfucking dude, that let me tell you, women's hatred is just like love. It's the same thing as passion. If a girl has indifference towards you, like if girls aren't getting mad at me, right, for saying what I'm saying, this is a useless show. You gotta have them. If they sit there and go and dismiss me, like, okay, turn from this. This guy's just corny. Not turn from this, fuck him, or turn from this, what is he talking about? But turn like, boring, and really believe that, that's a chick that's lost. She's like, fuck you. When your girl gets like that, and some guy in the streets can evoke, like,
passion,
anger in my girl, nigga, you know what I put my girl through to make her angry? Nigga, anger, and she loves me, so you don't give out your emotions frivolously, motherfucker. You give your emotions, you be selective. You don't be hating nobody. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, it's constant. It never stops, dude. I'm telling y'all, fellas, it never stops.
You can't.
It never stops. It merely changes form. Pure chaotic energy.
Can't rest.
Because they pretend that what they're doing is not malicious, and it's not. It's just nature. And so we have to be diligent and purposeful to combat their fucking belief system.
You have to be on guard.
The most you could hope for is a couple of months rest.
Where she's not trying to get her belt. In between belts. Where she calls you master. Yes, master.
But believe me, you're going to get challenged.
Like I'm diabetic, man, right? I'm trying to get my health right. And that is a thing that keeps her in control. Like the fact that she loves me enough to make me take care of my health. So take your pills. Did you take your pills? It's because I can't go, bitch. Stop caring about my health.
Yep, you're trapped.
Mind your motherfucking business. I'll have a heart attack if I feel like it, ho. That don't make no sense for me to do that. But that's a thing that keeps her in this state of, like, that's my way to find a way to say something that he has to listen to. And I can gain some type of command, and I look at her to let her know that's what she's doing, so that she can go, look, I love you, just please take, like where it's like, all right, it gives me a desire beyond myself, because it's hard for yourself sometimes to take care of yourself. So, it's like men are like have this ego, like even like with the mother thing. I don't want to make my mom look like a bad person, but if she goes, she says to me, do something, and it's right. I don't want to just say no because she's telling me. You know what I mean? Sometimes you do, but sometimes you, as a man, you go, get out of here, man. I handle everything. But sometimes you go, okay, I'll release myself as long as you don't get abusive, which is what happens to women. They become abusive as soon as they get a in. As soon as you give them an inch, they take a mile. They can't help it. But you can't be mad about it. You can't hit them. You can't choke them. You can't yell at them. You have to be diligent till they get the option in their head of, okay, they have to think first, okay, the shit, am I getting ready to do some righteous shit, or am I getting ready to do some drama shit just to get his attention? Because it's not worth what's going to happen. Because if I need to talk to my girl for an hour, I talk to her for 5 till she's like, I'm going to die listening to this nigga. She can't out-argue me. I'm gonna find a way, because 2 things. 1, I feel like I'm right. 2, I'm a guy and we're competitive. I'm not gonna lose to you as a girl. You think I'm gonna let you out-argue me? Never.
Never. I refuse to lose. Oh man, Patrice is awesome. Well, you know what I mean.
I will do anything to make your point stupid. The sun shines. No, it don't, bitch. What you looking at? Are you crazy? It doesn't shine. It's just, you gotta be like that, dude. Sometimes, like if you're raising a child, sometimes 8, and man, sometimes 8 out of the 10, you might be right 8 times, and 2 times you are horribly wrong, but it's worth it to be right the 8 times. Yeah. And then sneak in that you were wrong the other 2 by buying them a goofy doll or, giving them a ice cream sandwich. Hey, sorry. That's your sorry. But the 8 times, you need it. You need that shit, man. I'm telling you.
Hey. You have to come.
Good shit from Patrice as always. What do we got here? Oh no. Oh shit. Man, that sucks. Alright. I want to hold on to these. What do you think? I haven't watched any Game of House of Dragons before. I've seen some of Game of Thrones, but final moments of what?
I compiled this video last night featuring the deadliest real-life shark attacks that I've covered on the channel thus far. These stories include some of.
No. We also did this one. Oh man.
Apparently, you never got around to that fucking Colorado court case that you like to cite all the time that says
Rob,
is an example
you realize that
Welcome back. Destiny absolutely loses his mind and rage quits a 5-hour live stream he had with a streamer named Rob Noor. Man must have had the patience of the gods to go that long with Destiny. But Destiny finally couldn't take it anymore and rage quits the debate. If Destiny looks...
Sorry, this is the Apostle. I don't know if y'all can read that. What the? Alright. Let's see. I can't spell, y'all, so y'all. I don't think we need much of the image, so we can keep watching Skyrim in the background. Poor guys. Alright, let's see how this goes.
Looks a little choppy at times. It's because I had to edit for time delay. But let's jump in, folks.
There were tons of these protests that occurred.
No, you're not allowed to say tons. I'm asking for particulars.
No, Destiny,
Stop.
Destiny,
You're trying
I'm
to
allowed to say. I'm allowed to say whatever the I want. You don't control what I can say, and I understand that you want to be intentionally obtuse about this. Yes,
I'm being intentionally obtuse.
I love how Rob I can say whatever I want to say. This is just like, oh yeah, forgot about that.
When you think it was illegal for 1,000 people to protest a federal law in the year 1800?
You wanted one. You just got it. Okay, insurrection or not?
I don't know. I would need more information about this.
Okay, well, why don't you keep looking, keep reading? You're clearly interested in this. You take insurrections to be very seriously.
Rob, you understand that I've written like 10,000 words on my research for this document, for the January 6th stuff, in which I have way more information, right? You understand that, like, the level of work I put into this, and then to give me, by the way, I had to find this. You didn't even know this. That for me to find this and read 2 paragraphs and go, oh yeah, I think that this definitely meets or exceeds my, I don't know. I would have to do more research into this. This is your example. I had to find this for you, Rob. You didn't even know about this one. I found this for you. So I don't know how it includes it or not. I'm not sure.
I knew in general there were protests of
No, you don't. You didn't know anything. You tried to pretend that me asking you for a particular one.
That's not true. That's not true. I knew in general there were protests against the Vietnam War that got violent. I knew that, and I knew that that would meet the definition of insurrection you provided. And I will allow me to finish.
Man, I feel like Boogie is the only one that wasn't able to just dunk on Destiny, like his own wife, the online community as a whole. Then he lashes out with his hatred for Trump as a mask. And Boogie tried to use that against him, and nobody cared at that point. But this is literally like the only win that I've seen him have is that Boogie one. He's just been getting stomped on, man.
Allow me to finish. I find it ironic as you're talking about the 10,000 pages that you've gone through at January 6th. Apparently, you never got around to that fucking Colorado court case that you like to cite all the time that says is an example.
You realize that I originally told you that they use a 3-point test, and that when we went and read it, they used the 3-point test. I literally summarized it. And you know, Rob, you know that, by the way, you hadn't read that case before, because after you read those 3 points, you thought you had a gotcha, and you said, oh, and it kind of looks like they're not even using your test. Like you completely forgot that I had said multiple times at the beginning of our conversation, I think the Colorado court uses a 3-point test. Do you remember any of this happening at all?
Yes, I remember, and I remember specifically saying, as you said that and before that, that this is exactly what they did. My entire argument, and I've had this debate with Pisco before, was I was shocked because I'm interested in the obvious double standard of how these things are applied, that the Colorado court case refused to determine what insurrection was because they knew if they used like such as the definitions that they were using previously from the 1860s, that Black Lives Matter would have met that definition of insurrections many times over.
No,
and they knew that.
And they said, oh no, well, we can't have that. Then people won't know who's the good guys and who's the bad guys. Who's the baby face and who's the heel.
It's not true.
That is
You
true.
just don't know.
That
you don't
is true.
understand anything about what these courts do. The court is supposed to decide, ideally, the case before it. And the court isn't generally supposed to venture beyond the case before it. So when a definition of something like insurrection, okay, is offered to talk about a particular event, the court generally isn't expected to step outside of the bounds of deciding that case. So you trying to say that the Colorado Supreme Court saying that, well, in order to decide this case, they don't have to decide exactly what an all-encompassing definition of insurrection is, proves that there is no definition. It shows you don't understand what you read, because they said just for purpose of deciding this case, and you don't understand what the function of a court is, which
Again,
isn't to
I do
give
understand.
definitions
I do
for the entirety
understand
of everything.
I do understand the function of court. I also understand the interest of spurging out when you know you're getting blown the fuck out in a debate, which you're known to.
People just calling out his style now. His tactics it's so clear to just over talk you, speed talk you, and derail whatever arguments you make and take them off into some other straw man type of argument that he thinks he can attack a little easier. And look at him. Should I even zoom it? Look at him. Goodness gracious. All right.
Prone to do. So what I'm saying is, yes, I understand that this selective court, much like many of the courts that have engaged in selective lawfare that we've seen over the years, it is true that in theory they're only supposed to decide the case in front of them. I knew that this was a convenient way, the fact that the Colorado court, nor any court in this country, declared any of the actions of Black Lives Matter, Antifa, etc. as insurrections, was very interesting. And I knew the fact that they were unwilling, even when they're citing definitions of insurrections, to just say, yeah, shit, this is the definition we're going with, that it would be used by people like you to say, well, technically they didn't even decide what insurrection was, so, you can't really then go back and say that Black Lives Matter is an insurrection. I understand that the court was not there to determine whether or not Black Lives Matter was an insurrection. I found it very convenient that they cited several definitions that would have meant that it was clear that Black Lives Matter were over and over again
What does
insurrections.
this have to do with Black Lives Matter?
The Spurger.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
The court didn't have anything before it about BLM. Are you implying that the reason why the court didn't give a more narrow definition that wouldn't have even been needed to decide the case is because they were afraid of implicating Black Lives Matter?
I'm not saying that's specifically what their only intent was, but I'm saying it had the convenient after effect of that. So if we looked at the definitions that they used this is exactly how this came about, right? I read this part, I'm skimming through this, I read the part of insurrection. I'm debating with Pisco on Twitter, right? I'm like, Jesus, if we look at the definition they used for insurrection, which was, quote, a rising against civil or political authority, the open and active opposition of a number of persons to the execution of law in a city or a state. It's like, shit, that's basically what all defund the police were.
A lot of them. I feel like the riots after Rodney King, the Watts riots, probably would have fallen under that same distinction. Even some regular protests, you would think, if they're large enough, they could stop normal government processes. If enough people join a particular march and traffic gets shut down, does that protest become now a insurrection? I don't think so, but who knows with Destiny.
Every movement that said defund the police based on this definition, it is a rising against civil or political authority, the open and active opposition to a number of persons to the execution of a law in a city or state. They're literally protesting the police. Clear cut. Almost by definition, the stated definition of Black Lives Matter would make it then an organization engaged in insurrections. Pisco then correctly says, but Rob, notice that that's not the definition that they end up using. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is the definition that we should use. It's from the 1860s. This is from right around contemporaneously the time that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment was created, so why wouldn't we use this? He goes, no. They just said, here are possible definitions, but they chose not to pick one specifically. So you saying that Black Lives Matter meets that definition, maybe, maybe not, but that's not the definition that the court used. So that's how then I was like, okay, now I got to read exactly what this whole fucking, so this was months and months before the Supreme Court even weighed in that I read this entire fucking Colorado decision, which is why I said, okay, I know exactly what they're talking about now. They're like, here's several definitions of insurrection, but we ain't going to choose one. We're not going to choose one, which then allows people that want to defend the double standard to say, well, they didn't choose one. They didn't specifically choose one, so you can't look at the one from 1860 and say, clearly this means that basically the entire organization of Black Lives Matter is an organization.
This Rob Noor guy is a smart dude. I have to say, I'm fairly impressed. And Destiny is just grasping at straws. I mean, he's just spazzing out, which is always
He ain't wrong. He is definitely spurging out when he gets a chance, but Rob is quicker on his feet than I realized from the Boogie episodes, but obviously nobody needed to be quick on their feet with him. They needed to be just looking for lies.
It's hilarious, but like this is exactly what the left wants. They want to muddy all of the waters. They want to make things vague. They want to make things obtuse. They want to make things not definable. That way they can just pull and take from whatever they want when they want. And then if you try to do anything, they have a defense for whatever they want whenever they want. I mean, this is exactly what they've been doing and everything against Trump, making up charges, changing the language of terms. Oh, you all don't need to unanimously agree on a conviction. No, four of you can do this, four of you can do this, four of you can do this. That's what they did in New York. And it's already been ruled you can't do that because that.
Is that what really happened? We got 12 jurors, 4 said neither, 4 said innocent, 4 said guilty, and then they just tell us it's conviction? Is that what? I wouldn't be surprised in the least, but
that's exactly the point. They want to confuse everything. That way they can seep in, slip in, and get exactly what they want. I don't know whatever these communists, fascists, whatever they were on the left, but it's getting into the courtrooms, and that should scare everybody. Leave a comment what you think so far, like if you're enjoying the video, and let's jump back in.
Organization. Even though
Hold on. No, wait. You could use that one though.
Okay.
Because they didn't choose. They didn't tell you what to choose. So you could use that. If anything, this court case arguably leaves open even more BLM stuff to be challenged in the courts because they didn't give you a more narrow construction of what an insurrection would be. That would exclude all of BLM. So what are you talking about? The fact that they say for the purposes of this case, we don't have to hone in on one. How does that protect BLM?
It protects BLM because the fact that if they would have used that specific case, and I'm not saying they did it intentionally, what I'm saying is may have factored in, but it certainly was exploited.
It didn't. You're wrong. That's not how any of this works.
How the fuck do you know?
How do you know? Because I know how courts work. What do you mean? Nothing in here prevents you.
Oh, so you know. So I just want to be clear. You know the intent of the members of the Colorado Supreme Court and why they chose to not take a specific definition. That's your argument.
I'm saying that the one that they've offered makes sense, so I'll take them at their word for it. The one that you're offering doesn't make sense. Yes, they did.
No, they didn't. They specifically said they're not offering an all-encompassing definition of the term
insurrection. I said the explanation for that. What was the explanation that they gave for that?
The explanation was that they thought that that this would have met any definition of insurrection. And you're literally repeating. And again, so two things. One, you're just repeating what I said at the outset of it. And second, it gets to the broader point. As someone who's fucking researched this so heavily and talks about this case often as, oh, well, there was a case where they ruled this was insurrection. There was the New Mexico case and there was the Colorado case. You didn't even fucking read the court decision, man. You didn't even
I literally told you like 20 times that they use a 3-pronged thing for their decision of insurrection in this case. How many times did you not?
So you did read it before. That's what you're saying.
A long time ago, yes.
Okay.
Or at the very least, an executive summary. I'm pretty sure I read the case, yes.
You read it before, but you were unaware that they specifically said we're.
Dude is a little exhausting to listen to. And like, even when you can keep up with him, I think that only frustrates him, because now he's like, well, damn, now I got to be accountable for what I say. I can usually just speed talk and people just tune out. I don't think he thinks people tune out, but they can't keep up and I can pull the wool over their eyes.
We're not giving an actual definition of the term insurrection.
It's that the way that you're phrasing this is not accurate. What did they say, Rob? Are you even capable of phrasing what they said?
Yes, I've done it like 5 times. Are you capable of hearing
what
me?
they said. Phrase what they said.
There is a lot of varying definitions of the term insurrection, but we're not going to settle on one actual definition of insurrection because we think that whatever definition of insurrection we would use, January 6th meets it.
There you go. Correct.
Well, no, do you want me to say? Now, this is very indicative of the style of debate that you do. It's why you want to have debates on the definition of insurrection. We haven't even got to the second part. We're just broaching it now. It's because what you want to do is just to try to get these little narrow focused talking points that could then define what the debate becomes. So then you could walk away and say, oh, January 6th, by definition, we could say was an insurrection. Now, fuck around and find out if you were those Trump supporters. Maybe Trump deserved to die, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, in the past, you've literally given the rationale for why you defend insurrections, saying that they're the other side of the coin of voting. And it's the same thing here. If you think that, I guess if your audience isn't so bright, if you have me keep repeating the point that I initially fucking made and told you what they said, that somehow that proves something, it proves nothing. I told you what they said. My entire point of bringing this up was we haven't had any fucking court cases for over 100 years, even though there would have been obvious examples under your definition of the term insurrection. No court cases brought in the past 100 years. Then we have 3. If the definition of insurrection is so fucking obvious based on the legal standard, why do we have 3 fucking different definitions or attempts at definitions given in 3 separate court cases? If the definition's so obvious, they should all give the same definition, but they didn't. It's almost like something changed in the past 100 years. It's almost like they were like, we no longer view insurrection as the same way we did around the time of the Civil War, which is why no one brought up the term even suggesting Black Lives Matter, or suggesting things like the Vietnam War protests, or suggesting things like the attacks on ICE facilities, or any other number of things, even the Chaz zone. None of it was brought up. And you know why. Did I lose you? I did. He booted me?
After that, I think Destiny is going to have to do some good old meth in order to calm himself down, because he was spazzing out hard. And this.
Yeah. He couldn't take it anymore. Understandably.
Guy, Rob Noor, I think is how you pronounce his name. I can't, again, believe he went 5 hours with Destiny, but he seemed to have been enjoying himself, so kudos to him. But he made an awesome point. It's like, this is what they want to do, is they want to muddy the waters, confuse everybody, and then it allows them to do what they want to do. And Destiny always is quick to judge everybody on the right, but he never seems to see any of that, any of the bad, any of the lies, any of the BS on the left. But that's what happens when you live in this echo, woke chamber that Destiny's.
I'm not even sure he's in an echo chamber. I think it's just like his version of a Scrooge McDuck pool vault. You know what I mean? So like, he's listening to where the money is. I think that's one of the reasons, like, he's very careful on the positions that he takes, that he can defend them from a point of view that's understandable to his base, his riskier perspectives. But for the most part, he seems like just a weaselly kind of individual. It's not a guy that you would trust, I don't think.
seems to reside himself in. But great video. I enjoyed watching it. Leave your comments. Let me know what you thought. What did you think of what Rob Norris said? What did you think of what Destiny had to say? Just the same. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Take care. And
Yeah. Baby Lux. What's up, buddy? This kitty. Pretty awesome kitty, honestly. How long have we been on? Well, shit, I did that. JoJo might want to watch some BoJack when she gets home from school. So maybe I'll just play. I don't know what I want to play. I guess I played more Skyrim and more GTA. Yeah, we could play some GTA. I can see that. Like, go get a piece from Emmett. I was like, Emmett couldn't even pay me to hold one of these. Yeah. Ow. Sheesh. Scratched the shit out of me. I watched A Quiet Place Day 1 yesterday. It was lackluster. Like, I don't even know where to begin. I feel like the actors did well with what they had, but I feel like the story added nothing to the... I don't think it answered any questions that you might have had. It made things... I mean, I asked a lot of questions. I doubt I'll have any answers for any of those. Shit, I have... if I could sign in to MGM on here... Or no, it's Paramount, right? If I could sign in to Paramount on here... I guess I don't have to do that. Or I could turn a camera app there and put something over that. we could listen to our commentary while the movie goes. We did pause at one point and made smoothies. But yeah, I was just like asking questions and stuff, but like nothing too big stuck out to me as like legitimate problems with the story that they were telling. I just it was boring. And like I felt like I didn't really get to know who this person really is. Like, this is a person who considers herself a mean person. I don't know. And at the end, she, you know, I don't want to, you know, spoil it, but I feel like you don't really get to know this woman. She's unlikable for the most part. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but one can only have so much like grace or understanding with characters that do stupid things in the midst of very life or death situations. 9 times out of 10, like, I feel like an audience is gonna hate that person. So like, to have your main character doing things that immediately endanger not only themselves but like thousands of lives is kind of wild. It's really wild, especially like with her having the understanding that, okay, like, we have to be quiet, and having too many people together might not be the easiest way. Huh. What we got here? Alright, I'll have to see if I can do something about that. I doubt we can, but I wish I could look at, like, if I just had like a no, don't start with me. Just like the like, I wish we could, like, is there any way I could like zoom in on that? Yeah. See what I'm saying? Yeah. We can do something like that. Wait a minute. What's happening? Shouldn't still be playing though. Oh, so it disappears. I see ya. So out of here real quick. I still don't understand why it's playing. Like, is there a reason why? I don't hear it now. Okay. Alright, I'm just gonna make a quick little adjustment. Give me just a minute. Oh. Yeah, and then drop this back down right there. Oh shit, can I just do that? Okay, even better. So I don't have to do a damn window or none of that shit. Huh. So, let's take a look, see what that looks like. Okay. Here it is, I think. Gucci. All right, now. Yeah, I might have to take a little break. Unfortunately. So it got split. Muted audio. For what? Right here. It's his whole fucking stand-up bit there. Oh, there might have been music behind it or something. feel like I can say that if you voted in the system, kind of remind. That's what the my fever come down so a little bit, so that's good. And I just enjoy messing with this. I used to mess with audiovisual stuff all the time, and when I was a kid, so it kind of reminds me of that. And here we are. We're going to give our opinion on this certain piece of media. Seems very well researched, well documented, well done. I've been wanting to get to it, so let's take a listen.
Dr. Disrespect's band, he would tweet out, "Look, for several hours now, I've been told from credible sources the reason Dr. Disrespect was banned. However, due to the importance and sensitivity around the subject, I refrained from going into it. I don't feel comfortable with it currently." Many felt off-put by this statement, as it doesn't seek to inform the public of anything aside from the fact that he supposedly knows something that we do not. Along with statements like this on Twitter, Slasher would also make public appearances on the platforms of streamers like Hassan Piker and the Scuffed podcast, hosted by Trainwrecks. These appearances would be underwhelming and disappointing, as Slasher would give next to no information on this, trying to meet up with her at TwitchCon. The powers that be.
Same time, I'm not seeing like if those whispers existed, guaranteed screenshots or something.
Of the third-person shooter Rogue Company would remove their $20 skin of the dock from the game and offer refunds for anyone who purchased it. This particular decision would spark controversy, as the refunds would only be given in their in-game currency, Rogue Bucks, instead of actual money. All of these revoked partnerships painted a very bad picture of what potentially transpired behind the scenes, but none were more damning than what would come next. As promised, Doc would boot up his live stream on the 24th of June, around 10:30 a.m. EST.
On the board. What do they stand to lose? What do they stand to gain? And
have me step down. Our team is full of incredibly talented.
They're dancing, like. I mean, so.
Is that this was why Dr. Disrespect.
Others are minuscule. Now, measuring each and every.
Shoulders. They want me to disappear? Yeah, right. It seems that every statement made in regards to the situation leaves more questions than answers. So what do we know? Well, for starters, we know that Doc indeed had inappropriate conversations with a minor. To what extent, however, is currently unknown. What is known is that whatever happened in these private DMs was enough for Twitch, Discord, and even Doc's own gaming studio to decide it was worthy of cutting ties with him. It's also clear that the circumstances of the last few weeks invalidated whatever NDA was in place that kept the Doc from speaking on the subject. So it confused many that he wouldn't directly dismiss the claims or elaborate on key details. Assuming that what he says is 100% true, additional context and more details would only benefit his case, yet he chooses to be as ambiguous as possible, rather than dismissing his alleged plan.
Okay. I'm gonna step away for just a second. And actually, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and in the stream here, I'm gonna start streaming some Grand Theft Auto after I make sure that the controller is charged effectively, and I'm gonna take a shower and a couple other things. But if I don't see y'all, just stay free, stay safe, stay on. Hope you and people never on. I guess I should bring myself back on. Shouldn't I? I don't know. I am still on. I never switched away. Okay, cool. So stay free, stay safe, stay armed. I hope you and your people are never armed. And I'll catch y'all in a little bit.